Thinking Gang, episode 112. Shout out to everybody who been hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. Please like, share, subscribe, share with everybody. Help us grow, help us reach 1K. Appreciate all the support, all the likes and all the views. So with that being said, let us get into the podcast. And today's topic, as you saw, is beating the odds. In order to overcome and get out of the inner city mentality, you have to beat the odds that's against you. You got to go against the grain sometimes. Sometimes you have to go past what perception is and find your own groove, and it may not be popular with everybody. But you got to overcome something. And when you overcome something, it gives you character, it gives you grit, gives you a mental strength that can elevate you to that next step or that next level in life. So let me know in the comments, what odds did you have to beat to get to where you are today? If you're willing to share that, let us know in the comments. So with that being said, the mission statement, this podcast is made by guys who are from Southwest Little Rock. Our mission is to encourage and give insight on how to overcome inner city obstacles and elevate in their life and career. This podcast is for the youth, the young adults who need help on thinking through life obstacles and increase the chances of success in life. The better decisions you make, the more you increase the percentages of success. The more bad decisions you make, the more you decrease the chances of success. Because you always have to play catch up when you make a bad decision. When you watch basketball, that's why they say don't reach. If you reach, now you lower the chance of being able to defend, because when you reach, he can go around you the other way, or you may give up a foul. Same way in life. If you don't take the proper steps to make a good decision, that decision can set you back, and now you playing catch up to try to get back to where you were, back to square root. So please, make good decisions. So our first topic is some of the best things learned from the inner city, like growing up in Southwest, Pio growing up on the South Side. What are some of the things you learned that helped you in life to overcome situations? Let me know in the comments. What are some of the things that you had to overcome growing up in inner city? I know for me, I learned a lot of things. I would say some of the most important things I learned is that no matter how much you hang around people, no matter how much like you're in groups or whatever, a lot of times it all falls back to individual accountability at some point. If a group of dudes do something, they all get caught. They don't put y'all in the room together. They separate you and put you in the room by yourself. And you have to make the decision about how are you going to handle the situation that you're in. Another thing you learn about in the inner city is about patterns. Dealing with people. Everybody has a pattern. Everybody has a way of doing things. And you don't have to know a person per se, but every person has a pattern, whether you know them or don't know them. I mean, if you just sit back and peep game or watch them, everybody has a pattern. Whether they drive the same way home when they get off work every day, or they when they get off work they go to the same gas station to get the same drink and honey bun or whatever every day when they get off work. Everybody has a pattern. And then there are people that are random. They just randomly because they don't like being read. They don't like nobody knowing that they have a pattern, so they just be random. Somebody like me that don't like being predicted and stuff like that. But you learn a lot of things growing up in the inner city that you wouldn't learn if you probably grew up in the suburbs or sheltered. Because most people in the inner city, I'm gonna say about 70-80% probably is a single parent household. So when you're outside, you don't have both parents to kind of guide you through things. You only got one parent, and they're probably at work. And you have to learn how to make good decisions, and you have to learn how to stay out of trouble and avoid it as much as you can. I mean, you got to get to the point where if you can actually foresee something like, hey, let's go over here. Nah, I don't want to go over there because I see trouble. You may not say it out loud, but in your head, you're like, nah, I'm going to avoid going over there because I'm going to try to avoid trouble because I don't want to get in trouble. Because some trouble is hard to get out of. Some it is, some is not. Another thing you learn in the city is like, say, how to think ahead of what you're doing. Make those decisions because you're not gonna always have an adult available to say, "Is this a good decision? What you think?" Sometimes you got to learn how to think for yourself in situations because it's right then and there. And like I say, I told somebody on TikTok, one decision, one move, one word, and 1 minute can change everything about your life, about your journey, everything. So you have to be careful about how you move. Am I saying you're gonna be perfect? Nope. But what I'm saying is you can strive to be better and better every day. It's one thing when you're trying to do better, but it's another thing when you're not. And I think that you know the difference if you're not trying to do better or if you are trying to do better. But you want to try to do better. Every year you should want to be better than the last year. And I know me, I'm about to turn 41. I strive to be better every year. I don't like being complacent. I really don't like being comfortable. I've been enjoying making content, teaching myself to be consistent. That's one of the hardest things about life. Like growing up in the inner city, that's what you learn is the people who are really thrive the most of the time, whether it's good or bad, but people who thrive in either or, they are consistent at what they do. I mean, it's so consistent that most people don't want to do it. Because when you choose to be consistent, you're going to have to give up something that you deem fun or to be disciplined. You're going to have to give up something. Guess what? To move into a new level in life, you're going to have to give up something at the older level. You might can't take it with you. You always got to be willing to go to the next version of you. You can't be attached to one version of you. You got to be able to move to the next version. This is how life works. If you stay at that one version, that's like saying you want to stay at Windows Vista. And we in Windows 11 right now, but I like Windows Vista. But guess what? Windows Vista don't have the support, no security, in the same way in life. If I would have stayed at the '05 mic, however old I was at '05, and I'm 41, like that wouldn't have computed. It wouldn't have been well for me right now. I ain't no telling what I would have been doing, but you have to be able to evolve and go to the next version of who you are in life if you want to increase your chances of success. So our next topic is understanding what it takes to be a provider. So, does becoming a provider change a person's perspective of life? And it does. One thing that when you become a provider and people are depending on you, if you got some good sense, it will change you for the better because you don't want to do anything to risk your freedom that jeopardizes your chance to provide for your family. So, becoming a provider definitely changed your perspective of how you move in life. Like, you just don't want to argue as much. Like, what am I arguing about for what? You don't want to jeopardize your freedom over something silly. You want to do the best you can to provide for your wife and kids. You just want them to have things, and you don't mind working for it. I don't mind working for it. It teaches you how to be selfless, even if people don't even realize it. Like to be a man and be a provider. A lot of times, people may not even know what you do. I know my family; they do the best to say thank you for things, but they don't have to because when you take the vow to be a husband and a provider, you got to provide whether they say thank you or not. You got to provide whether they like you or not. Sometimes when you tell everybody no, we can't do that, you probably gonna be the bad guy. But guess what? You still gotta provide. Even when you're the villain, you still gotta provide. You gotta remember, when you make a wedding vow, you're making a vow to God. And for those people out there that say that you shouldn't put the kids first, I would definitely beg to differ. But it depends on the two people that's married. If you got a if you're on equal mindset, me and my wife, I love you, Ashley. Shout out to Ashley. We definitely put the kids' needs before ours. We do it all the time. A kid does not have the wherewithal or the insight to take care of themselves. They depend totally on you. So when I hear people saying that you shouldn't put the kids first, it sounds weird to me because those are the people that will have children of the corn kind of kids and then be wondering why I didn't know my kid, why is he acting like that, or he or she or whatever, why are they acting like that? You have to, when you, that's why it's important to understand the mindset. Even though you can't really learn it until you become a parent, but once you have a kid, your mindset, your priorities, all of that change. And if you're having a kid with a person, if you're having a kid with a person and they don't understand that, it'll be tension because there are some people who will not spend their last on their kids for their kids to have something, whether it's clothes, food, and then there's some people who will. But if you get two other opposite, where I don't think the kids should be the first priority, or I do think the kids should be the first priority, there's gonna be a tension there. But if you get two people that's on an equal mindset, hey, the kids come before us because they can't fend for themselves. They can't even work. They depend totally on us. But as a man, being a provider, your family depends on you even when you're not liked, even when you could be the villain. So you have to move different. Whether it's on the job, you got to move different. You got to stay out of trouble. You don't want to lose your job. Spiritually, you got to lead your family spiritually as well. You got to lead them with insight and be able to teach in moments in life. Kids ask you about this. Can you teach them that? It's a lot of things that come with being a provider and a husband. It's a lot. And you don't learn it all. If you can't learn it in 5 minutes, it takes time. I can tell you that from experience. And as far as perspective change, I remember when I was younger, I didn't think about school. I didn't think about any of those things. But as I started becoming older, having kids, you realize that. Now you hear people say this all the time. They say it's not all about the money, but at the same time, when you start growing up, you start realizing that how much does it really cost, or how much money do you have to make to be able to pay your bills, have money left over to cover stuff like if the car break down, something break on the house, to be able to call out, service or something like HVAC service or something like that. How much does it really take to do that? When now the average rent probably $1,000, and that's just for regular apartment. That's not even for like something nice. That's just a regular apartment till you get on your feet. But the goal as a provider, as a man, for me, this is for me. I would tell any young guy this. As a man that wants to be a provider, you want to put yourself in position to make as much money as you can in the corporate market until you can't garner that no more. But here's the trick that a lot of times you don't know in the city. If you take your career serious and plan your education and your career, you can get to a point in your career or in the corporate world that you don't have to retire. But the job that you're doing is not hard either. I've seen numerous of people working in IT, just seeing different positions because you got to service everybody. I've seen a lot of people that I saw at the top level, as they get older, you start making more money. Your value and your experience start becoming more valuable depending on the career path that you go down and how good you are with that SCCM skill set, education, communication mindset. They're making $100,000 a year and above, and they probably in their 50s or 60s, something like that. They're not going to retire. Why do I say that? Most of the time, when people get to that level, 6 figures and above, if you retire, you won't be making the same flow of money that you're making if you get to the 6 figure level. But when you're in the inner city, you don't think that you can get to that level in the inner city because you don't really know people that's making 6 figures. If you don't understand, what what position pays what, or what level you need to get to in the corporate world. Like if somebody tell you they're a provost, some people not in the city don't even know what that is. I didn't know what it was 10 years ago. I didn't know what a provost was. I don't know what a chancellor was. I didn't know what an attorney was, a prosecuting attorney, a district attorney, and stuff like that. You get to those kind of positions, you're making 6 figures. That's why you see people like Biden and these older people. They be in politics so long till they about to drop to the ground almost, because it's hard to turn down making money without having to put in like a labor. It's labor intensive. It's more mental intensive, but not labor intensive. So just something to think about. A lot of times, it's people like I knew guys, man, that worked till they was about 80, but they was making probably since they was 50, 150 grand or something like that. And then you work till you just can't work no more. Today, either walk you out or you die. Some people die in that position. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see a lot of those senators, man. They be older, in those positions because access to more things, access to more opportunities, access to make more money, and they stay in those positions until they just physically can't do it no more. But you get to stay there long because it's not like working something that's like physically straining, but that you can't do it in your 60s. It's more of a mental, kind of deal. So as long as you keep your mind sharp and your body somewhat in shape, you can last a little bit longer. So the next slide is corporate thinking. What is a ballpark figure to start a business and not have to work a job? Let me know that. How much do you think it take now in 2024 to start a business and not have to work a job? To start a business, have the operating costs, still be able to pay yourself, pay taxes, and still have enough to live off of. How much you think it take? 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000? Let me know in the comments how much you think it take now to start a business and stay afloat and not have to work a job.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The reason I bring this up is it's tough to start a business, be consistent, and generate business on your own. I'm not saying you can't do it. I think you can do it, but you got to understand as an individual how much work you're going to have to put in on the front end as far as generating the clients, generating the business, understanding the back end operation, like the money, the taxes, the cash flow, and keeping your business expenses and your personal expenses separate. Having $10,000, but knowing that really only $3,000 is probably you can use to pay yourself, and that other seven need to go toward business expenses. You got to understand those things. You hear people always talking about they want to start a business, but that's why they tell you to write a business plan to understand the details of running a business. How much gas it's gonna take? What's the building? Do you got a leasing or are you buying it using it as collateral? How much the utilities gonna cost to run the building? How much overhead do you have? All of that. Payroll. You got employees. You got to buy payroll. Whole nother set of things to think about. So don't just get wrapped up in starting a business. After you start a business, then there's the middle stage, maintaining the business before you get to success. Maintaining the books. Executing the plan that you set. All of those things. So, getting into our next topic.
That boy is good.
Good and terrible.
Verse of the day. This is our verse of the day. I want to do this, kind of incorporate this more into the podcast. Give you some Bible verses that you can apply in real life. Real life application, that's what I call it. Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 20. Follow the steps of good men instead, and stay on the paths the paths of the righteous. Now, when you hear this verse, how do you apply this in real life? Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You have to know what a good man is. It said, follow the steps of good men. You have to understand what good men are. Whatever your interpretation is. But according to the Bible, follow the steps of good men and stay on the paths of the righteous. A lot of times we know when we're on the wrong path. Probably 80% of the time we know we're on the wrong path. We just override what's going on in our head.
My friend, huh? Yeah. Tell me why. Because he knows my first name?
The sooner you can match what's in your head with what's going on in the real world, the better you're gonna feel.
And you have to stay on the path. That's the tough part about being in the inner city sometimes, is that finding good men, it seems like they're far few in between sometimes. And you have to find a path for yourself, the righteous path for yourself. And sometimes when you're young, you may think that the path is righteous till you get to the end of that path and you realize it was not the righteous path. And we are dealing with that right now in this time and age.
It's always business, never personal.
So you have to find good men and follow the steps of good men, because everybody leaves a trail. You think about, with social media, that's one of the things about social media. If you find, you may not have good men in your proximity, but there may be some good men on social media that you can learn about them, learn about how they got successful, like a lawyer, right? You can learn how he went to law school. What path did he take to get there? Good men. How did he become a superintendent? How did he become a principal? How did he become a director? What degree did he get? What classes did he take? What apprenticeship did he go to? Follow the steps of good men. But a lot of times people don't like to follow the steps of good men because it's going to challenge you. Staying on the path of righteous, it challenges you because there are some things you want to do that's not on that path. And you will get off the path and go do what you want to do. I'm telling you from experience, my own experience, I've done it. You get off the path of the righteous and you go do what you want to do. I want to go chase girls. Did that. I want to go chase girls. I want to go kick it with the homies. Get off the righteous path. And there's nothing wrong with doing it, but you got to know where your priorities are. You got to know where your priorities are. And once you figure out where your priorities are, you understand what you need to do to elevate. You learn about yourself. Educate yourself around your skills, what you're naturally gifted at. You will increase your chances of success. So, next topic. How does a person beat the odds of the poverty race? What are some of the things a person can do to elevate in life and beat the odds? What I will say is, in order to beat the odds, you have to understand that you're against the odds, number one. That's number one. Number two is you have to think about, what can I do? What opportunities can I take advantage of to get me ahead and get me in the position to beat the odds? And I'm telling you, from my experience and a lot of people's experience in the inner city, if they even want to admit it, is most people from the inner city, it's the same cycle most of the time, over and over and over. You graduate high school, and instead of going to something, apprenticeship, college, vocation, some kind of certification, you say, I'm going to take a break. And that break ends up leading to 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Next thing you know, you're working just regular jobs and you're realizing it's not enough. It may be good money when you're single, but if you want to have a family,
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
you want to have kids, most of the time, I'm going to say about 80% of the time, a regular job not going to be enough. So in order to get ahead, you have to get your education in something. Post-education is important. The most important thing that you have from the inner city when you're young is your time. Being able to take advantage of your time and invest your time in things that can help you beat the odds of the poverty race. Whether it's, like, say, going to school, whether it's a vocation, certification. And like I say, some things you can't learn in 5 minutes. You can't learn how to operate and run a McDonald's, own and operate a McDonald's in 5 minutes. You have to go through a course. I think in order to do that, you have to be approved, number one. You got to have so much capital on your own before they even let you even start the program, the franchise, something like that. But understanding that there's an education piece always to learn something. Because the minute that you stop learning, the minute now you're starting to widen the gap of you being successful in poverty. And you're going to be more on the poverty side because you have to increase your skill level, something that people will pay for. Or else you're going to be stuck in that below average area as far as salary is concerned. Because minimum wage is just what it says, minimum wage. And that, I'm telling you, if you want to be a provider as a man, that won't be enough. Won't be enough. But just know this, young people, middle age, you can beat the odds. It's just when you're younger, the window is like this. As you're starting to get older, it started to go like this. And you want to take advantage of that window when it's wide open. It's the best. You got the willpower, you got the stamina, the mindset. Don't get caught up and say, I just need to take a break. Because that break, some people go on break and they never come out of it.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
So don't get caught up in a break. Because believe me, I'm just telling you from experience. I'm telling you from experience. You take a break, it may end up, that break may be a 5-year break. Now you in your 20s. Take it from me. I didn't go back to college. I didn't go back to school until I was about 25, 26, 27, one of those years. And I may end up doing a video on my page about the process of me going back to school as far as getting the paperwork done. This is the people don't talk about enough. If you don't take the ACT, what you got to do to get in school, SAT scores and stuff like that. I didn't take neither one of those. I didn't take the ACT or the SAT in high school. Didn't even take none of it. But still had to, when it was time for me to go to college, I figured it out. I didn't stop until I got it done. Learning how to take care of business will help you beat the odds when it's right in front of you. Stop pushing stuff to the side so I get to it later. I had to stop doing that. My mindset had to change when something in front of me, I got to handle it. Don't push it to the side. Because it's so easy to do that. Next thing you know, it'll pop back up on you. You're like, oh, man, I ain't do nothing. Now it's last minute. Now you're trying to scramble and figure it out. So put yourself in position to beat the odds, beat the poverty race, because you can do it. But you got to be willing to put in the work.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So, with that being said, we finna do our pick one. Candyman or Freddy Krueger? If you had to pick one, who you picking? Let me know in the comments who you picking. Candyman or Freddy Krueger? I'm probably gonna go with Freddy Krueger. Candyman was okay, but Freddy Krueger, man, he had the comedy relief in his, man. Pretty crazy. Like one dude, he was beating him up in the TV. They tried to unplug everything, and he said, "Oh yeah, you forgot about the power glove." He was beating him up with the power glove. Remember, anybody know about the power glove? If you know, you know. But yeah, Freddy Krueger, man, had more of a comedy value in his, when you understood comedy. I know when I was younger, it was super scary, but as I got older, I'm like, man, it's like a comedian or something. It was pretty funny, but yeah. Let me know who you pick in the comments. I'm picking Freddy, though. Candyman was cool, but I'm going to pick Freddy, though. And the thing about the Candyman, though, you say his name 5 times, he coming. But let me know who you picking in the comments. So, with that being said, Thinking Game. We do it every Thursday. I had a long week this week, long day today. So we usually do it around 6 or 7. I had to do it later today. And I know my buddies, man, they probably sleep, man. They're tired right now. But shout out to everybody who's been watching Thinking Game. Shout out to everybody who's been watching CTM Sports. I'll probably be doing one of those tomorrow. Talking about the Celtics game. I think the Celtics may have won that game. But I'm trying to tell Peel, Unicorn, if the Unicorn's healthy, I'm telling you, it's going to be a difference because they don't have an inside game for Dallas. But shout out to everybody who's been watching the sports. Shout out to everybody who's been watching the podcast. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all the support. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you're on the YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. Help us grow. Hey, this is Mike. Thanks for watching the clips. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'm signing out.